You are not confused. Even in recovery, the first step is admittance. And if you won't be honest with yourself, clarity is never going to find you. Let's go deeper. Welcome back to Go Deeper, Please, where business and relationships tell the same story. And clarity is the difference between connection and confusion. If this is your first time here, hey y'all, hey, I'm Marquita. You can call me Kita. And this show is not about motivation. It's not about hype. And it definitely ain't about telling you what you want to hear. It's about telling the truth so you can stop wasting time pretending you don't already know. Today's episode is called Be Honest. And yes, in business and in relationships. Because most people aren't stuck because they don't have the information. They're stuck because they're avoiding the truth they already see. Let's start here and acknowledge what it looks like on the surface. On the surface, honesty sounds easy. People say things like, I just need more clarity. I'm still figuring it out. I don't know what's off yet. And that sounds reasonable. In dating, it looks like staying in situationships, waiting for mixed signals to make sense, giving somebody time to decide what they want to do with you. In business, it looks like endlessly tweaking your offer, changing your message every few months, asking for feedback but never acting on it. From the outside, it looks thoughtful, measured, patient, but it's not. It's avoidance with good manners. It's time for us to go deeper, please. I've lived long enough to have tested the waters so I can confidently stand up in it and tell you it's never that deep. Let me say this carefully. Most of the time, when people say it's complicated, what they really mean is, I don't want to admit what I already see. Because the truth usually is not hidden, it's just inconvenient. Here's how you know it's not that deep. In dating, when somebody's interested, you don't have to decode it. You don't have to reread text. You don't have to wonder if they're busy, overwhelmed, or bad at communication. Interest moves. It follows up. It creates clarity without speeches. Confusion only shows up when someone wants the benefits of connection without the responsibility of choosing. That's not complexity, that's avoidance. Business works the same way. When something is not aligned, when something is aligned, it moves. Not instantly, not perfectly, but forward. You'll see traction. You get the responses. You feel energy instead of drain. And when it doesn't move, people start saying things like, the market's just weird right now. People just need more education. Maybe I need to tweak the messaging again. And sometimes those things are true. But majority of the time, they're just a softer way of saying, this isn't landing and I don't want to admit it yet. So here's we get to be honest. People love to call avoidance depth. They say, I'm being patient. I'm discerning. I'm giving it some time. But patience still has direction. Discernment still ends in decision. Time still reveals something. And if nothing is changing, if those same questions keep coming up, if them same patterns keep repeating, you're not being thoughtful, you're stalling. So let's bring this back to relationships for a second, because I want you to see how you're doing it. If somebody keeps saying, I just need more time, but months go by and nothing shifts, that's not uncertainty. That's a decision they don't want to name. And every day that you stay available inside of that fog You participate in your own confusion, not because you're weak, but because you're hoping honesty will arrive after comfort, and it doesn't. Now, here's the part people don't like to hear, so I'm just definitely going to say it. Confusion is often chosen because confusion lets you stay emotionally invested without risk, stay hopeful without commitment, stay busy without accountability. And in business, confusion looks like endlessly researching, buying program after program, consuming clarity content without implementing. It feels productive, it sounds responsible, but it keeps you from facing the real question. What would I have to change if I admitted the truth? That's the question people are avoiding. And this is why I say it's not that deep. Not because the situation doesn't matter, but because the signal is already clear. You already know who isn't choosing you, what isn't working, where the energy drops, where the effort feels heavier than it should. You feel it in your body before you can even explain it with words. That knowing doesn't get louder with time. It gets quieter because you keep overriding it. Here's the real danger. The longer you avoid honesty, the more invested you become in the story you told yourself. And eventually, you start defending the confusion because admitting the truth would mean admitting you stayed longer than you should have. That's not failure. That's human. But it is optional. So let me leave you with this inside of it's not that deep. If something keeps requiring interpretation, reassurance, justification, or emotional labor just to stay engaged, the depth is missing. Or the depth isn't missing, the alignment is. There's no amount of clarity seeking that will change that because clarity doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from telling the truth you've already been postponing. And that's not harsh. That's merciful. Because the moment you stop calling it confusion, you give yourself permission to choose differently. So it's time for us to go deeper, please. And let's dive into what honesty actually requires. Honesty isn't about saying harsh things. It's about naming what's already true without trying to soften it. Honesty sounds like this isn't aligned. This relationship isn't moving. This offer didn't fit the audience that I wanted. And here's why people avoid it. Because honesty collapses opinions. The moment you're honest, you lose the fantasy that things might magically improve without you changing anything. Honesty forces choice, and choice requires responsibility. So let's go deeper. When you're not honest, confusion becomes your shield. In dating, confusion lets you stay emotionally available without being chosen. In business, confusion lets you stay busy without being effective. You stay in process. You stay open. You stay exploring. But what you're really doing is protecting yourself from the discomfort of decision. And here's the cost. Resentment builds quietly. Confidence erodes slowly, and standards get blurred without your permission. You start negotiating yourself. You override your instincts. You tell yourself stories just to justify what your nervous system already rejected. That's why honesty feels so heavy. Not because it's hard, but because it removes excuses. I want to give you something you can actually leave with. Not a checklist, not a worksheet, a filter. Because now we got to get fully immersed as we go deep. You can run through this situation with dating, business, or just conversations. I call it the honesty to action filter. 5 steps. Number 1, name the pattern. Ask what keeps repeating that I keep calling temporary. Don't put no explanation, no context, just a pattern. If it's repeating, it's information. Step number 2, you need to identify the carry. Ask, what am I doing that only makes sense if confusion is allowed to exist? Some examples include extra explaining, extra follow up, extra flexibility, extra emotional labor. That's the weight. Step 3, separate interest from movement. Ask who's interested and who's actually moving. Because interest is noise, but movement is alignment. And it's a huge difference between 1 day and 2 day. Don't merge those two. Step 4, withdraw the compensation. And this is the action step. You don't confront, you don't announce, you don't justify. You simply stop. Stop preempting objections, softening expectations, explaining your readiness that you don't control. That is where your integrity shows up. Step 5, watch what stabilizes. After you stop compensating, observe. What feels lighter? What quiets down? Who moves without persuasion? Who disappears without drama? That's not loss, that's sorting. Here's what honesty looks like in action. You stop asking clarity to coexist with misalignment. And the moment you do that, your business and your nervous system start telling the truth at the same time. Here it is, the point of no return. Because we've come so far and gone so deep. This is the truth you can't unknow after this episode. Clarity doesn't arrive before honesty. It arrives after. If you keep saying you're confused, ask yourself this instead. What am I already seeing that I don't want to act on yet? Because once you answer that, you're no longer confused. You're choosing. And from that moment forward, every delay is a decision. This is why most people don't need more advice. They need a better question. Not what should I do, but what am I avoiding naming? That question alone filters readiness. Some people will sit with it. Others are going to rush past it. That difference matters because alignment only works for people who are willing to tell the truth before they're ready to fix it. If something in this episode felt uncomfortable, don't skip past that. That discomfort is information. Honesty is not loud. It's not about to argue with you. It waits for you to stop negotiating with yourself. And when you're ready, it's already there. Before you move on, ask yourself, and only share it if it feels clean. What truth have you been calling confusion? No explanations, no backstory. Just name it. In the next episode, we're going to talk about what happens after honesty, because clarity without action is just self-awareness theater. Episode 3 is called Decide Like You Mean It. And that's where boundaries actually begin. I'll see you there. Bye.